rocking out. Complex things made simple now. Bartender to cloud, she shows us how. Security first, not later. Best practices creator with the snark. Breaking down the walls so high everyone can touch the sky. Deploy, fingers crossed. Kubernetes! Gates! Container orchestration! Help! Rock Code Academy, we learn today. Platform engineering, this is the way. Multi-cluster love. Wisdom from above. Kubernetes, love it so. R to the AWKOD. Academy streaming. Can't you see? Live coding every day. No script, no fake. David Flanagan for learning's sake. Operators operating. EVPF innovating. kubectl. Apply. kubectl. Delete. kubectl. Get. Roll it out. kubectl. 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 What? How do you say it? Nobody knows. How do you say it? Nobody knows. FYI, it's kubectl, says David. Now back to our regularly scheduled program. kubectl! Apply! kubectl! Delete! kubectl! Get! Roll it out! kubectl! 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 What? How do you say it? Body knows! How do you say it? Body knows! That's it. Let's go. Let's flow. It's time to play.
All right, welcome back to the Workload Academy. I'm your host, David Flanagan, and today we have a special episode of Workload Live, where we're going to spend a little bit of time taking a look at the State of Kubernetes report for 2025 and, correlating that with our own experiences. And when I say ours, it's not just me today. I am, of course, joined by two wonderful people and people that I consider friends. Hello, Kat. Hello, Justin. How are you?
Mad decent. After that song,
I know. I am pumped. I was clearing a pit here right behind me. We were ready to go.
I mean, AI music these days, I like and having a bit of fun with it and building something specific for each episode. And I know that Kat loves industrial metal music. I thought, let's put something together to have fun with Kubernetes. And I thought, let's just take a little bit of time to understand how to say kube control, kubectl, because nobody knows. For the viewers who are joining us, the QR code is here. If you want to get a copy of the report, feel free to grab that now. Before we get started, I'm sure everyone knows who you both are, but could you please just take a minute to say hello? Tell us what you're up to, what you had for lunch. I don't know, whatever you feel like sharing. We'll kick off with you first, please, Kat.
Sure. Hello, my name is Kat Cosgrove. I'm the head of developer advocacy at Minimus, but you probably know me better for my work in the Kubernetes project. I was the release lead for 130 Kubernetes, which made a lot of people on Reddit super, super mad because they thought that we should take it seriously and name it something that's not fun. I'm the release team sub-project owner and a technical lead for SIG-Docs. For lunch today, I had 4 slices of old pepperoni pizza from Domino's that had been in the refrigerator for 2 days with green El Yucateco hot sauce on top and nice. An already open half-eaten cup of garlic butter.
Before we move on to Justin, how does US Domino's compare to UK Domino's?
They taste identical. Yeah, the same.
Wow.
Yeah, that's why I eat it. I don't eat it in the States, but over here I do because it tastes like home. Same with Papa John's. Tastes the same. Taco Bell, not the same.
We only have one Taco Bell that I know of.
Oh, there's one in
Mm,
Glasgow and there's one in Edinburgh.
I guess what else do you need? Fair
That's
enough.
true.
All right, Justin, do you want to say hello?
Hey, I'm Justin Garrison. I'm a head of product at Sidera Labs and long time sort of around Kubernetes space from multiple jobs in the past. I'm just kind of hanging out and having fun. I've been running it for a little while and building products around it. I have not had lunch yet. I'm on the Pacific Coast, so it is 11 o'clock for me Pacific time, and I've been on a bit of a diet for the last few weeks, trying to lose some weight. So I'll probably have a salad.
All right. I think we should just also appreciate that Kat flashed her beer there, and it was a lovely Heather Ale
Oh yeah,
from my favorite Scottish brewery. So
It's so good.
William Brothers.
it's
Amazing.
so good. I love this so much.
Yeah. And they actually have a fantastic bar. They're from Glasgow, and their bar is in Glasgow right next to the Tenants Brewery, which I think is funny because Tenants is like piss water in Scotland.
I'm
and
also
you
a
get
big
this-
fan of Cadence, but only when I'm at like a shitty old man bar.
Yeah, well, you've got to pregame before you start the Tenants, I feel, just to kind of get started. All right, so we're here to talk about a report, the State of Kubernetes 2025. This is quite a large report, so we'll do our best to cover some of the high-level details. I have gone out of my way to prepare a little bit of slides to guide the conversation as we go through this. And when I say slides, I mean in my terminal. So let's just pop over here. Ta-da! This is my favorite tool in the whole world because I discovered it recently, but it's called Presenterm, and it's just like YAML markdown files with slides in it. Is that not cool?
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah. Who needs Google Slides or anything like that? So
Not me.
I'll trust you two since you two can talk to me and the audience can't right now without going through the comment section, but is that big enough? Is that readable? You happy?
Yeah.
I mean, we're just using it as a guide anyway. It's not a big deal. So.
Yeah.
So this report was done by Spectro Cloud. They've done this 5 years in a row, which I think is really cool because, I think the more data that we have on Kubernetes adoption is important. And what I want to do with this is just kind of work through the high level things like I've said. But, we've all been in the Kubernetes community, ecosystem, whatever you want to call it, for probably the majority of the 10 years now, I think. I mean, I've seen your two faces around as long as I've been kicking on the tires on it. So I think hopefully we've got a lot of experience and our own perceptions of adoption that we see as we work with companies and we change companies, etc. One of the first things that caught my eye in this report was it said that now 65% of people or the companies responded, I'm going to use each of those terms intermittently as we go through, have been using Kubernetes now for more than 5 years. Which I think is a really strong fact to the maturity of the project now. It is 10 years old, but I think people just are using Kubernetes as a de facto now. It's not even a choice. And even if you have a single container workload, I don't even see people just running Docker on hosts anymore. Everyone seems to be using Kubernetes.
Well, it's gotten
some
easier
degree.
to use. So it's like it's not as overkill to use Kubernetes for small workloads anymore because it's just like not as difficult to stand up as it used to be. You don't have to roll your own cluster anymore. Everybody and their mother has like 5 different managed Kubernetes services. So
My mom just shipped hers last week, so yeah, everyone's.
yeah,
Is that who you handed your Kubernetes kube off to?
Yeah.
No?
She just writes. She writes all the kube config down on paper, and it's been great. It's
oh
just
my god, I'm so proud of her.
the OCR on my phone picks it up, and we go in. It's great. Yeah, I mean, I think that like the ecosystem and just the acceleration around like everyone supports it now, right? The hard things of adoption early on was just like, oh, you can still get Kubernetes and it's going to be there for you, but all the other tools and all the other things you want to run are still either going to be outside or you have to roll it yourself or something like that. When I worked with ECS, that was the biggest complaint of ECS was it's like, oh, it can do a lot of this stuff too, and it does it maybe simpler, but I have to like put in monitoring and any database I want to run or anything else. Is like there's just the frameworks weren't there, the ecosystem wasn't there, so it makes sense now as a de facto.
Yeah, I often have this conversation with people at like KubeCon and other events as well now, where they're like, should I run Kubernetes if I only have a handful of workloads on a single node? And I'm now leaning towards the answer of just, you probably should, because there is obviously a burden to Kubernetes to some degree, but you're losing out on so much more if you don't adopt Kubernetes, because all the patterns are now built on Kubernetes. Like being able to just have a Prometheus operator running in your cluster, collecting metrics and putting them somewhere via OpenTelemetry or whatever. like, why would anyone go about doing this any other way these
Yeah,
days?
there's no reason to pass it up. Like, if I'm gonna deploy anything, even my own like dumb bullshit, I'm gonna chuck it in a container and throw it on GCP. Like it's I'm gonna put it on Kubernetes, even if it's overkill. It's easy to do now.
Yeah. The other thing I thought of as I was going through this report and taking a look at this information was, I think it's interesting that we have so many people on Kubernetes now, right? And the Kubernetes is not exactly a static project. It's not like it's done, right? You run 130 and that's it, and you're never upgrading it anymore. It's like there is a burden, there is a maintenance overhead, and was it? I can't remember. Kat would correct me here. Was it last year that the release cadence actually changed to slow down the momentum of the project, or maybe 2 years ago, right?
More than that, significantly more than that. The entire time I've been on the release team, so since 122, it has been 3 releases a year. We are releasing 134 next week. So it's been like a solid 4 or 5 years since we switched to Cadence, but time is meaningless. And the pandemic screwed up everybody's perception of how long ago anything is. But yeah, it's been 3 releases a year for a while. And people do still complain about that switch. But as the person who has to babysit the whole operation, I would argue for 2 because holy crap.
Do you feel that this has made, is this it has been a net benefit, right, for organizations to drop in one release each year?
Yeah, I mean, it was less for orgs and more for us. The amount of work that goes into a Kubernetes release is enormous. The number of people it takes to get it done is enormous. I think a thing people forget when they complain about us only releasing 3 times a year instead of 4 is that we're the second largest open source project in the world behind Linux. We're dealing with something like 1,300 last time I checked contributors. The average release has between like 40 and 65 enhancements in it. It's an enormous amount of work. We struggle to cram it into 14 weeks. You're welcome for giving you a consistent cadence. Like we warn you, and you can guess that we're going to release roughly the same 3 times a year, and we give you an exact target date about a week into each release cycle. So that's the best we can give you. I would like to do it slightly less often. I would like to pull it down to twice or 2.5. Give us a little bit
What's
more
a half
time.
release?
Just giving us more time so that, maybe some years have 3 releases, some year have 2. Yeah. I would want to pin it to the number of weeks in the release cycle, not the number of releases in a year. Because the way we do it now also forces us to fight with European summer vacation for the second release of the year, where most of Europe is just gone for a month. And then Western winter holidays for the third release of the year. So we get Christmas and Thanksgiving in the way, and that's a huge problem.
Yeah. I mean, so far when you're talking about this, you're only also talking about the new releases, but there's also all the security patches that go back to the last 2 or 3 versions are supported
the last 3
as well.
Yep.
Last 3, right? So it's definitely not an easy job. So I'll say thank you to you and the rest of the team just now before we move any further.
You're so welcome. Buy me a beer.
Done.
All of us, we're tired.
What about your perspective on this, Justin? What do you see working with people? Do they have problems keeping up with this cadence? Is that a good cadence? Like, do you have any thoughts of your own?
I think something at this foundation level of infrastructure is hard for a lot of companies to keep up to date, right? Like if I look at Red Hat releases, right? Like they have a lot of releases a year too, but no one ever really pushes to them, right? It's like, okay, well, actually I'm fine on this one and I'm stable and I'm not going anywhere else because Red Hat's going to support it for a really long time. Because I got an LTS release or something that is 8 years in support and I'm fine.
How do we feel about that canonical, like decade plus?
Yeah.
That's wild, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And like more and more companies are trying to do their own thing of like how can we extend that support to say we're the stable version of Kubernetes forever and you can kind of just leave it and not upgrade. And you're not going upstream for that support. You're going to a vendor to provide security patching and whatever. And I think at that layer, it's really hard for companies to get in the cycle of upgrading that over and over again. And when I was working at AWS, that was the biggest complaint of EKS is deprecation cycles and upgrades. And we were like, I remember when the shift happened from 4 releases to 3 releases, and like, great, we can actually have 3 releases a year and then support one more version or whatever. And everyone's like, cool, I don't have to upgrade 4 times a year to stay up to date, because at any meaningful scale or risky to your business, like, you don't want to just change out the underlying infrastructure 4 times a year. So for people adopting it and using it at larger scales or critical business value, like they take their time and they need to make sure that everything's up to date and ready to go and safe. And they have teams of people that just do Kubernetes upgrades all year, every year.
Sweet. All right, before we move on, I will say to anyone watching, if you have questions, while we are happy to chat amongst ourselves, please feel free to drop them into the comment section, and we'd be happy to work on those questions too.
All 3 of us absolutely can yap for an hour just by ourselves, but we would like to talk to you too.
Exactly. All right, so moving on to my next slide, some more interesting stats that I got from the report was just about how people are operating Kubernetes, at least with regards to their clusters. And 51% of these respondents have more than 20 clusters spread across multiple clouds, data centers, or edge locations. And more than 41% have 20 different applications deployed onto the cluster as well. I think I've got this on the next slide too, so I've kind of duplicated my questions a little bit, so I'll try and group them together. But there is this, I keep saying common, right? But these are just conversations I have with people. Maybe I'm the problem here. But I like to talk about people's architectures for deploying Kubernetes. Are they doing a single monolithic Kubernetes cluster with all of their workloads? Are they doing multi-cluster and doing cell-based architectures? There was even the KubeVirt project, which I have no idea what the status of that is these days, but there has been plans to kind of break down the Kubernetes silo into multiple disparate locations and regions and solve different different challenges and different architectures. What do you both see in this space?
I am surprised that 51% have more than 20 clusters across multiple clouds, because I remember maybe just only 2 years ago, a bunch of heavy hitters, people who do know what they were talking about, were actively talking about multi-cloud as though it's a scam. That it was a thing that was never, ever, ever going to take off. So seeing that number, all I can think is, man, maybe we don't actually know how to predict the future of Kubernetes, because that's solidly and very clearly the way things are going. People are doing this. People are happy with this. More and more people are doing this. Clearly, there's a benefit to it that outweighs the potential nightmare in maintaining configs across all of those environments. So why did we think that was a scam? Why were we so sure? I don't think I weighed in on it back then, because I didn't know enough to have a strongly held opinion on whether or not multi-cloud was a ripoff, but some people sure as hell did.
We just said that Kubernetes is the standard, right? We're just going to keep it wherever, and every cloud provider has Kubernetes. So, I don't think this is necessarily a surprise, because we're not saying that single applications stretch these environments. They're just saying that every large organization uses every cloud. Every time I see a new partnership of some big company at some big cloud, I'm like, yeah, they also use the other clouds too. It's fine. Everyone uses everything, and Kubernetes is the standard for deployment. So they're just going to use the Kubernetes there. And I think that becoming the standard made this just accelerate. It's just well, I don't really want to manage a Linux VM by itself, or a workload on a VM, or I'm not going to go into the vendor specific Lambda direction of this one only runs here. So let's just make it a little bit portable, and we'll just do the Kubernetes thing. And I think that being the standard shows this here.
It's a good thing. It's cool. Kubernetes itself, its own infrastructure, does use multiple clouds. I was looking to see how much we've spent on each of these to date. Numbers are horrifying. Yep. But and this isn't like secret information. It's public. Anybody can go look at it in Slack. But
yeah, it's a lot. It's millions of dollars, and it's cloud credits, and that's how the big cloud providers are providing resources to CNCF and Kubernetes is, hey, you can run here.
Yeah, it is millions. Our year to date on AWS is 900,000. So
Yeah, but that's book price, right? I mean, it's not Amazon's cost or anything like that.
yeah, no, that's our actual spend, but that's not the list price. No, there's no way. No, that's what we pay, or well, what the CNCF pays for us, but it's not the actual list price.
Yeah, I mean, I think when I go to the next KubeCon, with this knowledge now, I want to ask more questions about people that are doing many clusters across multiple clouds, right? Because, I think it is easiest to give me a cluster here and a cluster here. We have redundancy, we have some lot of load balance. Maybe it's like failover, disaster recovery.
Yeah.
Where I'm really interested in the people that are doing, I have some of my applications on this, I have some of my applications here. Like, I think that is a really cool model, being able to hook into each cloud and what they offer best. Like, if I would want some workloads on GCP to take advantage of BigQuery and Spanner, right? And I would want to use AWS or maybe, Kinesis or managed Kafka or something like that. And then, pick the best of each cloud and make all of my applications talk together. And I don't feel that that's
easy to do that, then it's a pick and mix of Kubernetes.
Yeah. I want to pick and mix my Kubernetes and cloud services but it has to be cohesive, right? You've got to have something where the sum of the parts is greater than the sum of the whole. And I don't know how easy that is to do.
I think that if you want them to talk together, that gets more difficult. But if it's just like most times I see people choosing a provider or location based on economics or responsibility. And they say the economics make sense for this application to run next to BigQuery because we need BigQuery to do some data analysis for us. Other times are like, I actually need this in my edge environment because my store is never gonna, get good latencies to that AWS region or whatever. And then the other side is just like teams that it's just your org chart is just going to say, oh, well, this team manages that holistically and they don't like the platform team or they work with the platform team in this way. So this is how they interact. And you get one cluster for yourself, just like VM sprawl was a thing, right? Like we used to buy servers for a team, for an application or whatever. Then we cut it up in a little bits and said, now it's a VM per team, per application. And now we're just cutting up clusters and we're saying, hey, this is still the same way we decide what runs where, how we carve it up. It's just that boundary of responsibility, who impacts who, how do you need to talk to each other? But usually it just comes down to in a cloud provider, the economics of, does this make sense for how much I'm spending on AI accelerators to rent that from AWS versus, this hardware that I bought once and I can stick it in a data center and I get, better returns on.
All right, we have a couple of comments. So the first one's calling out Justin, so I feel like we should just go straight to that one. I'll just put it right over your face as well. But some LinkedIn user, I don't know why we don't get names, I'm sorry about that, but it says, disagree with Justin. Oh, God, I went away too fast.
Timed out.
We don't upgrade often with releases either because I'm really convinced that doing less of anything would just make it harder for you to do. The more often you have to upgrade, the more pressure you feel for making it easier through automation and less process thinking. We need to sign off on the cab and distracting processes like that.
I mean, I agree with that. Like it's a hard thing to say we should upgrade less, but also I understand that like businesses, if you're in retail, you're not going to do upgrades during November and in December, right? You're just not. And like we have a release then, and EKS was pushing out releases, and people are like, I'm not upgrading until January, right? And it's just
There's a difference between what you should do and what people are going to do. Like I would love it if people upgraded Kubernetes every time there was a new release, but that's not realistic. It's not the reality. So we have to figure out how to walk a line between what's best practice, what's the safest for users, what's the safest for the business, and what's actually realistically possible for people.
And there are some demands there, right? Like Linux server upgrades, like we never used to do those in the past until we started learning about CVEs, right? Like once we had a CVE database and we're like, oh, these are what vulnerabilities are.
Yeah.
The business doesn't want to get hacked, so they forced me to do it, even if the application breaks, right? The risk of application breaking versus getting hacked was fine. It was a trade-off that we made. We upgraded the servers and made sure that they were, no vulnerabilities or eliminated some of them.
Yeah, I remember going on to IRC and just posting my uptime because that's how tragic I was back in the day.
Oh my God, it was so cool and trendy back then.
Once you hit that 1 year uptime, it was just like, man, you are the best sysadmin.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then there's always a sad face when you go into IRC and full caps and you're like, fuck it, power cap. And you're like, oh.
God, we were lame. We were not cool kids.
All right, YMO in the chat is now saying, curious about people going the other way. Blue Sky being quite open about this, but they're going on-prem. There was also, of course, the cloud exodus from the Basecamp people and DHH, who was also very vocal about their migration away from cloud. I mean, does it matter where you run Kubernetes these days?
I don't think I give a shit where you're running
No.
Kubernetes. And like, as a person who was working at Dell while DHH was posting about that really loud, and he was bragging about using Dell servers. I just don't think it's that common. Like, you see a couple people being really loud about it, like DHH was, like Blue Sky is. But I don't think it's necessarily super duper common compared to running like managed Kubernetes on like some cloud provider. I also don't think it like, I really don't think it matters. I don't care where you're running it. I care that you're running it. I care that you're upgrading like moderately regularly. And otherwise, I don't think it matters if it's on-prem or in the cloud. Do you have the people with the correct skills to manage an on-prem cluster? Then fine, go for it.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that people don't appreciate is like the cloud is cheap to get started, but then the costs go up very quickly. And there is a certain inflection point where at some point, if you have the big enough traffic and hopefully the revenue to support it and the team that comes from it, then maybe it is better to go on-prem.
Yeah.
But I just feel like today, with the tooling that we have with kubeadmin and managed Kubernetes and everything getting better and operators, running Kubernetes on bare metal has its challenges. I'm not trying to just say they don't exist. Like, networking is obviously a lot more complex. Storage is definitely a lot more complex. But there is a time to take these on. So
yeah, I mean, I've got a remote control car in the other room that's running K3S. I get
why?
why? When I was working at JFrog, when I was still a software engineer, we were trying to prove that it was possible to do like automated over-the-air updates for the like computers on cars, because at the time, like, it was really only Teslas that did over-the-air updates. So the way we proved it was it's running K3S, Mender, and Yocto. So there's two partitions of the driving system for that car, and it updates in the background while the car is driving, which is pretty cool. But it is in fact running K3S. All of them were. I just stole one from work. We had a whole fleet of them, but I stole one when I left.
All right, I'm going to put you in the hot seat. That didn't work as well as I was hoping. Oh, boo.
Boo. Steal from your employers.
I was going to say, what version is the cluster of K3S on your RC car?
Haven't updated it since I left.
Updates are hard.
Because I don't turn it on. I don't use it, and I don't have the rest of the system. I took it as like a trophy of like, hey, I was here and I did this, because it was my last role as an engineer before I went into developer advocacy. So I took it as kind of, you know how like serial killers keep trophies. I stole the car, but because of when it was, I guess it's probably running like 118.
All right, nice. So the Kubernetes release manager is running 118 on a cluster. That's all I heard from that conversation.
Release team project owner, a release manager is a different job, and you know that. But I am. Do as I say, not as I do.
Plus, it's an RC car.
And plus, it's an RC car. It is a self-driving RC car. So,
I mean, now you said self-driving, that means it's autonomous. I really would expect better from you.
I know. It's running automotive grade Linux too.
See, this is the problem, right? We're half an hour in, and we're on slide 4 of 15 because the three of us are just going to start chatting.
Because we're yappers.
Yeah.
All right. Moving along.
Let's move it along. We got a funny how we keep our uptime. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, I don't do that anymore. I reboot every night. But
I mean, I was really proud when my first Kubernetes cluster hit 1 year. Right. And then all of I had pods that were like, hey, this deployment has existed for a long time. And I'm like, oh, look, I get the 1Y on that. And then my cert started expiring. That sucked.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't definitely don't do that. All right, let's move on. So now we're getting into where the AI starts to come into the data. And of course, this is something we can't avoid in 2025. And obviously there's some big numbers here, right? 90% expect the AI workload are just going to continue to grow in their cluster. What I also find interesting here is that as their AI workloads grow within their clusters, they're also 92% are relying on AI to help them optimize the costs. It's like you've got two competing things here. Like, we're going to deploy more AI, but we want AI to make sure we don't spend too much money. there's just so much happening in the AI space. We can't tackle all of this, but is this something have you deployed any AI? Like, I have
I've
not.
I've deployed zero AI. I don't think there are like good individual use cases for like somebody like me or you or Justin deploying it aside from to fuck around with it. Like that's
I mean,
pretty
that's what companies are doing too. So
That's what companies are doing too. Like, I think that a lot of these AI workloads we're seeing are going to disappear. The same as a lot of the other anything in AI. I think a lot of it is going to disappear. Um, I do think the technology is here to stay, but that like we saw with blockchain hype, a lot of the applications of it are maybe not necessarily a scam, but they're just a pretty wrapper on a conglomeration of like three other AI tools that are actually doing something innovative and aren't necessarily going to last. I do think it is a little bit of a bubble. And, hats off to y'all for scamming VCs, get your bag. Um, but I really don't expect to see a lot of this to last another couple of years.
Would you think about AI coming in? I think, in fact, let's tackle the easy question first, right? I mean, the 92% expecting AI cost optimization tool. I think this is a no-brainer. Like, AI is really good at taking a whole bunch of data and coming up with some sensible suggestions on
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
Like you have seasonal traffic or you have spikes. When this happens, this indicates a spike based on previous data, and it can do stuff. How do we feel about AI control loops being in Kubernetes clusters? Like, imagine an operator that is doing things in your cluster based on AI, essentially text completion on data.
but I don't think we need that, right? Like when I
No?
worked on the Carpenter project for AWS, right? It's an autoscaler that had a consolidation feature that wasn't no AI. It would save you in many cases. It was saving people 10 to 20% of their cluster just off the bat. It's just like, hey, I can just optimize this, right? Like we know the math to say you have this many workloads, this much compute. I know these AWS instances are available in your region. Let's put them together. And that's all it was doing. And I had demos of running, clusters that were costing $200,000. My biggest clusters that I ever ran as a developer advocate at AWS a month, $200,000. And it would just reduce it down to like, less than 100,000. I'm like, cool. Like it was, randomized. It wasn't necessarily real world, but the numbers we were getting for some people were, I don't need AI to actually do that. I should actually just do the math to say, where does this fit? How is this working? But you have to have some level of maturity in your workloads and your cycles of upgrades and being able to say, I'm going to take some of these defaults from the base operating system, and my workloads need to have definitions on how much resources they're going to need before they get killed. You just have to have that level of responsibility before you can do that. And the other side of the coin is we were just talking about on-prem, like the on-prem people don't worry about any of that because they just have a budget, right? They're not cost optimizing anything. They do that up front. They say, before I buy anything, I have to say, this is my budget. And if I go over that budget, I have to go talk to people. And that's the hard thing of like, I need to go like, say why I need this thing to spend more money. But really, they're just like, I need $100,000 for infrastructure for next year. It's going to run me for the next year. Okay. You don't need to do any more cost optimization after that. Like, you're done. It was so much easier just to say that back then. And no one liked budgeting. I'm not saying budgeting is fun. I'm just saying it was easier and it used a lot less technology than what we're doing today. And it just solved the problem back then.
Yeah, I guess if we say that these AI tools, and I haven't dug into them in a lot of detail, but I have played with them superficially. And what they seem to do is just take a look at your cluster and your cloud and try to identify things that have been running but aren't really actively used and like, oh, you should maybe shut this down. But is this not just something that comes from a maturity platform engineering, like tagging and labeling things correctly to say this was spun up then, we expect it to live for this is owned by this team, and giving people accountability over what they're actually running? Like,
Yeah,
do we
I
want
mean, some of that is just kind of sprinkling the word AI on stuff to make it look fancier, more high tech, more modern, and again, filch more money out of VCs. So, which again, I'm totally fine with. Please do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't necessarily think that needs to be done by AI. But it's also a thing that I don't have a problem with being done by AI. I don't really care if it's just looking at your cluster and making suggestions, not taking actions for you. It shouldn't be taking actions for you. But I don't know, just looking at it, I don't really give a shit. If that's what you want to spend your time and money setting up instead of having a functional platform team, okay.
I mean, there's plenty of
Yeah, I think
consultants that filled that role in the past, right? Like
Yeah.
you just hire a consultant and say, "Hey, go figure out where I'm wasting my money, and then tell me the top 5 ways to save money."
That's
And
actually like literally my uncle's job. That's what he does. That's what his whole career has been done for like industrial engineering.
yeah,
But like that's all he does. He just
and that's
goes,
not a Kubernetes thing. That's just a infrastructure in general, not even
Yeah.
Linux or servers, right? Like just
Yeah.
people over time don't
Yeah.
know what the heck's running anymore, and go find it.
all right. 2 good comments. I'm going to start with a funny one from Ant first. Like, he's right. Where has all the Web3 chat gone? Where's all the NFTs since the AI hype cycle started? Like,
they're on a new scam, dude. Like it's a hype cycle. It's like when we had Beanie Babies, right? Okay.
The original NFT.
The original NFT Beanie Babies, and then we had Squishmallows, and now we're on Labubus. Okay, it's just that. It is.
I'm still on Squishmallows. I still love the Squishmallows.
Oh no, I'm on Labubus. I'm fully on. I want one so bad.
You jumped on the hype cycle,
Dude, they're so cute though. Like I don't want like 40,000 of them, but they're so fucking cute with their little teeth and stuff. Oh my god, I want one so bad.
My
Like, they're almost
daughter
out.
really wants one, and I'm flying to London for Kubernetes London in a week's time, and there's a Hotmart shop there that releases them every Monday. So my first thing when I land is I have to go there to try and get one before this.
Oh my god, will you grab me one? I'll bank transfer you.
Yeah. If I can get a Labubu, I will get 2 Labubus.
Thank you.
All right. So and then followed up with, are people just looking for the easy button here rather than doing the hard work with AI in their
1000%.
cluster for cost optimization?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which
but-
there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with looking for the easy magic button. It's just that this isn't it. And also it may not exist at all. Like, at least not now. Like it will eventually, but I don't think it exists yet.
I also would want to argue against what you said at the beginning, where like AI is, when we think of AI, we think of like big, expensive, bare metal GPUs, all this stuff. And I really I keep getting impressed with how smaller and faster some of the newer AI vendors are getting. Like even like the Raspberry Pi, hats are like 40 teraflop or 32 teraflops or whatever. And that's like equivalent to a few-year-old NVIDIA, like an A10 or something like that. I was like, this is actually pretty impressive. I was like, I was spending hundreds of dollars a month for this in AWS, and it's like I just bought a thing for $200 and now I own it forever and I can get the same performance consistently, and that's been really cool to see, like that hardware progression. I'm really more excited about like non GPU vendor, like non NVIDIA stuff coming out that is specifically like, hey, this isn't a GPU, this is an AI hardware card accelerator, whatever. But I also got off the AI conformance working group call just before this stream, and just hearing how like that conformance group is still, it's like the cloud is in Kubernetes is still kind of tied to this notion of one of the 3 hyperscalers, where it's like, oh, you have to have auto scaling to be able to do this. I was like, well, like that's not where people are running Kubernetes. Like, we see the last question, like 5 different environments, and like not all those environments have auto scaling, nor should they. Right? Workloads aren't dynamic. You're not getting users over and over. It's just like, no, we just have a baseline of what we're using this for. And if you throw one GPU in there, like you're fine. Like you can get some work done.
Yeah. So based on everything you've said, and again, we've got Ant in the comments again saying he's running open source, open AI models. I've got to say, I do a lot of AI stuff on my local machine now too, and I'm actually finding the open source models are good enough for most of the tasks that I need. Like running the Quen coder models or the Kimi K2s, they're all really good. Like I find myself less and less, and I don't want to turn this into just sitting talking about LLMs for the next 5 minutes. I'll do this in less than 10 seconds, but I find I'm reaching less for the big proprietary $1 trillion models these days anyway. So very cool time. All right, let's try and get on slide 6 before we, hit the hour. So, okay. This is about just the cost of Kubernetes. We've tackled this in some degree. AI is not the easy answer that we probably hoped that it's going to be. FinOps was, I don't know, you've all both seen it as well, right? If we look at the Kubernetes over the last 7 years, there's little trenches. And like, I'm pretty sure the FinOps one was the smallest one of them all. It's just like one KubeCon where everyone was talking about FinOps and how the financial industry was all going to jump on Kubernetes and everything was going to change. But that died away pretty quick, and I don't even see that
Yeah.
talked about anymore.
I mean, it kind of still exists. I went to like an LF FinOps event in London last year, and I mean, it was small. There was like, I don't know, 300 people there, but they were all executives from banks, and they were all actively using Kubernetes. I think just like the financial industry is so slow to move, and then also they don't tend to be very open about the technologies that they are using because they're not used to it. They're all like legacy companies. Legacy companies in general tend to be like that, slow to move, and then a little more quiet about it when they do move. They don't talk about their tech stack as much, unless you're a trendy bank like Monzo, who won't shut up about it.
Yeah, they never shut up about it, but they're doing some cool stuff.
They are.
I'll let them aware of it. What I also found interesting about this one is that it talks about how the CFOs now have more visibility into the costs of their Kubernetes clusters. And I'm curious if that is because all of these companies and enterprises are adopting things like New Relic and Datadog. And a lot of the time, these are some of the larger expenses of even operating Kubernetes anyway. The actual the observability of the cluster is now at a point where we always used to say back in the day, like, your monitoring should be 10% of your infrastructure cost. And the price of Datadog and stuff these days, sometimes does not exceed your cluster, depending on the dimension, like the frequency of your data, the dimensionality, and all these things. Like, it's just out of control. Datadog, when I first started doing this back in like 2012, with just containers and cloud VMs and stuff, Datadog was the cheap option. And now they seem to be the most expensive.
How much more expensive are we talking? I haven't priced out recently.
I mean, they still, on their website, they still say they charge per host, which is just absolutely ridiculous in this Kubernetes landscape. So I'm going to just disregard that. But, I was talking to people at KubeCon, and, it's not uncommon for there to be 6-7 figure bills just for their just for the monitoring with Datadog.
Fuck all the way off. Yeah. Sorry.
I mean, there was, I can't remember the details, and I probably shouldn't even try to remember it, but I'm pretty sure there was the Hacker News story maybe this time last year. And it was like a $3 million bill, and they ended up writing it off for the customer or something like that. I can't remember the exact details.
Wow.
But the company were like, what the hell are we doing? And they weren't even that big of a cluster. So like the costs just add up, and it's because you have hosts that are rotating, they're coming and going. There's the data costs, you're paying for all the data in transit and the storage and then the indexing. You're charged per dashboard.
There's features too. Like the Datadog's added a lot of features for like tracing and logging and whatnot.
Don't defend them, Justin.
It's beyond well. So we moved at Disney Plus. We moved from self-run Elasticsearch clusters to Datadog for our logging. We were like, hey, we just want to get the logging side of it, and it was expensive. It was just like, hey, this is going to be expensive, but what's our cost for Elasticsearch and maintaining it? And we had one person dedicated to maintaining an Elasticsearch cluster. It was in multiple regions, and it would put it into a Kibana dashboard in one place, and it was slow, and it was like, okay, well, what does this cost? And initially when we cut to Datadog, it was cheaper. Initially we're like, cool, like what our rate of what we were logging before is now less cost in Datadog than it was after. But usage grows, right? Like, actually, this is a really great tool and we want to use it more. And so as the usage goes up, the cost obviously went up. If we were trying to do the same scaling in Elasticsearch, it would have had similar scaling problems. I think what we're saying here with like the cost of Kubernetes going up, we've already said Kubernetes is the de facto. People are using it everywhere. It's used in more places. So of course, usage is going up. So cost is also going up. But this still comes back to like, if you had a budget ahead of time and you said, we don't spend more than this much money, right? Like FinOps doesn't exist on-prem. Like it's an after the fact of like, oh, we have budgets on-prem, we have FinOps in the cloud. And that's just like, we need to figure out what our costs are.
I think there's some static on your end there.
Is it me or Cat?
Is it?
Cat, mute yourself. Oh yeah, it's you.
It's me or it's Justin?
It's you. Do you have a fan on or something? It just feels.
Huh? Is it still doing that?
Yeah.
It's my PC's fans probably.
You should turn off the Kubernetes clusters.
Ooh.
They run hot.
Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna juice crisp a little bit more.
All right. You're right. I mean, I'm being too cynical, and Justin, you're being very sensible, and I appreciate that. They do offer good value as a product. I think where I find it challenging is that all of these companies, they used to make it, their thing was the ease of collection, right? Datadog had their agents that could scrape metrics from any runtime. You stuck it on the machine and it worked right. But now that they're all open telemetry, and they're not allowing me to move that data around freely, I feel like that, they're charging me more, but they're just digging a bigger moat around themselves so that I can't move that data, even though I have what is a vendor neutral pipeline to do all this stuff, and I want that flexibility to be able to do it. So
Yeah, it would be
I just
nice to
feel
have some sort of
unsettled.
like Google takeout for Datadog, right? Like, hey, you could actually export all this information.
Yeah, or they should just price it. We sell you the visualization of your data, and anyway, it's not a conversation for right now. But costs, obviously, I think observability is a big thing that is affecting or very important to companies in this space as they adopt
Yeah, I have the
Kubernetes.
sound like going in and out now. It's weird.
That's
Yeah.
weird.
It
Neat.
sounds like it's really trying to mute itself.
Let me turn down my gain. See if, because Crisp is usually really good at filtering that out, but
I hear like a lower hum fan.
yeah, it's my case fans in my PC. That's absolutely what it is. I live in Scotland. I don't have air conditioning.
Yeah, we don't have air conditioning and we've got brick buildings, so any bit of heat and you're screwed. But,
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, let's move on from AI and talk about Kubernetes at the edge. I do see this as a more recurring theme at KubeCons and in conversations. We're seeing this across the CNCF landscape as well with new projects that are making this possible. Everybody seems to be getting Kubernetes down to the smallest possible conformant size and allowing you to run it, well, I guess in a field or wherever you want, and a till at a supermarket. But, does anyone want to even feel brave enough to, like, when we talk about edge, is it IoT edge? Is it a field? Or is it just anywhere that's not a cloud provider these days? Like, I feel like that whole thing is very ambiguous.
I mean, I work at a vendor that sells primarily an edge product, and generally people come to us with edge questions, and it's usually like, yeah, outside of a hyperscaler is like immediately edge for some people. And it's like, hey, if I'm not in one of the big hyperscalers, I'm on edge, right? It's like, well, like I guess like whatever you want to define it. I usually define it by some sort of constraints of when we think of a hyperscaler or a cloud provider, we say like, this is unlimited resources and I don't have constraints. So I can just be a little reckless in how I treat the infrastructure and workloads and everything else. So it's like, I'll just scale it up, throw more money at the problem. But at the edge, like money isn't the solution to the problem. Usually when I have some restrictions around, I only have so much power or cooling or whatever it might be. Now I'm talking about edge sort of environments. I don't think Kubernetes is necessarily ready for IoT specific because IoT is like low cost as the restriction, right? They're spending less than $20 or something on a chip, and they're like, well, how do I maximize that? And that's usually not run a bunch of things on top of it, right? They're just like, we have 833 megahertz. Like, how are we gonna do this, right? Like they have very defined constraints around that, and usually the economics of Kubernetes don't make sense as much on an IoT device, but stores, like I remember back, it was like 10 years ago now when Chick-fil-A was like, we're running Kubernetes in all our stores. And that was a huge eye opener for a lot of people, like, whoa, you can do this at a restaurant scale sort of thing. And now it's kind of commonplace. Like so many of the stores are running Kubernetes stacks because they're like, actually it's just a common deployment pattern. And we really like that. And even if it's only 3 NUCs, we still have some restrictions, but it makes sense. And let's go ahead and deploy it there. So I think that sort of like has set the goalpost for a lot of people of this is pretty easy now.
A long time ago, I worked in IoT. Obviously, that was my last engineering role. And back then, there was still like a lot of argument about what the edge was. That this was, like 7 years ago. I remember like a long, involved argument spanning an entire day at a conference and multiple speakers over the concept of the near edge, the far edge, and something called the fog.
Yep.
So I think that nobody actually knows what the fuck the edge is.
I was at a conference this year and they were talking about the exact same thing. So it's not
okay. Yeah. So it's been like 7 years and we're still arguing about that. Nobody knows is the answer. Anything goes. If it's not a a cloud provider or like, I don't know, a rental at a big ass data center, it's probably by somebody's definition the edge. Who knows?
Fair enough. It turns out if you just keep talking, Kat, your crisp works great and the static goes away. So maybe we should just let you take over.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, I can just ramble. That's not a problem. I can just read these slides. I have a bunch of books behind me if you want me to like read, I don't know, Neuromancer to y'all.
I mean, one of my favorite books, but maybe we'll save that for another session.
Okay.
So let's keep going. We're making progress. We're halfway through and 8 minutes left. So I don't know if you used to have hard stops, but if these are okay to run a little bit over, maybe we'll try and do 10 more minutes.
Yeah,
but if you have to go, it's no problem. All right, so the next one focuses on legacy migration and obviously the use of VMs. The early chat with containers was obviously that nobody would run a VM anymore, but I feel the tides are changing there, and we're actually seeing that they can be used together. The KubeVirt project is growing, people are adopting it. There is still a use for VMs and containers and even WebAssembly in the future, I hope. So, we're in an interesting place where legacy migrations clearly still a thing because, well, the Kubernetes project is 10 years old and 65% of the respondents of this survey are, in production or, mature Kubernetes adoption. There's still all of these traditional workloads that need to make their way over. What's your thoughts?
Reading this part of this report made me feel fucking ancient, by the way, because it specifically refers to VMs as legacy workloads, and that made me feel like the Crypt Keeper. For sure. Because, like, technically they are, right? Like, VMs have been around for a very, very, very long time. But, technically, containers have also been around for a very, very, very long time. Containers are not new technology. Docker didn't invent them. We've had containers since the 90s. Late 90s. So like it I don't know. It made me feel old, but I think running VMs inside of Kubernetes is cool. Go for it.
Yeah, I consider the legacy aspect to be your more traditional VM stack, people spinning up Zen and stuff like that. Whereas I feel like, what is old is always new again. And now we have Firecracker and we have Cloud Hypervisor. We have all of these new ways to do really fast VMs, sometimes based on container images, meaning we're not even losing some of the modern technology advancements we're getting from containers. So why would I not want to run some of these workloads in Kubernetes next to my containers, again, to take advantage of all that plumbing that we said you don't want to lose, because we have service discovery and we have secrets and config maps and ingress and service meshes. So
it's like relatively minimal effort compared to like actually migrating over to Kubernetes directly, like using some kind of container, but you don't have to rewrite your whole fucking application, right? So it's a little bit of a lift and shift or whatever, but it's enormous benefit for relatively little effort. Go for it.
Yeah. I feel like
let it rip.
Tool users want everything to be in the same tool, right? Like as an operator, like I remember back in the day, we were trying to get legacy applications to use config management. We're like, hey, we're going to put all this in config management so we redeploy it whenever we want. And it turns out we never redeployed it. And it was just a waste of time. And it was cool because I was like, oh yeah, now it's all in Puppet. And it's great that I can do a Puppet apply and I can replicate the app somewhere. But in reality, like most of these applications are like Windows VMs. They're old Java applications that don't work with containerization very well. They're .NET something or other that isn't, the new Linux compatible .NETs. And so it's a lot of that where it's just like legacy makes money for the company and tool users want it just to be in the modern or the current tool set. So when they get paged for it, they're not looking at some ancient, how do I Tomcat that jar again? Right? Like how am I supposed to run this thing? Like what am I supposed to do to make sure this is available? And sometimes it makes sense. A lot of times it's just like, yeah, just leave it. Right. And just let someone maintain it. If it makes a bunch of money for you, just leave it there and hire someone to babysit it for a while. That's also fine. I think VMs and Kubernetes are fine. I don't know. I think that if you can't migrate it to something that's native containers, then maybe think about like, why are you going to maintain this in the future? Like what's the next platform it's going to migrate to? Because they've probably already moved twice. right? They probably moved from bare metal to a VM. They did a P to V, virtual, physical to virtualization. We did those back in the day. And then we did V to C, virtualization to the cloud. We're like, oh, we're going to put this in AWS now because that VMware stack is old. And then we're going to containers, and then we're going to, like, it's just, we keep moving the same thing over and over again.
I'm sure there's a lot of organizations out there that had just signed the deal and migrated everything over to VMware before Broadcom bought them.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. It's the towers of Hanoi, but trying to find a place for your fucking tech stack to live.
Yeah.
It's fine.
And I'd also argue it's probably easier to lift and shift a legacy VM application to Kubernetes than it would be a Java application anyway. I've always found getting Java into, at least back in the day, very, very difficult. But I'm not going to rant about Java today, nor am I going to rant around one of the claims in this next slide, which is 80% of, and I'm not ranting at.
Oh, you broke up.
Well, we lost his audio entirely.
Yeah, his audio's gone.
Oh, fuck him. Oh, damn it. We're going to take over.
No, I run Linux. These things happen. There's not much I can do about it. Like, that's my caveat on every Zoom and Google Meet. I'm like, I run Linux. I may not be here in 30 seconds, but I'm going to try my best. My rant here is about 80% of these respondents had the cheek to claim that they had a mature platform engineering organization. I just don't feel that we're there. Like, I mean, platform engineering has been one of those very topical things for the last 3 or 4 years now, especially since Spotify released Backstage. And people seem to think I just deploy Backstage to my cluster and the job is done. That is my platform. And I'm like, no, like there is so much more that has to go here. And then the data in the report correlates this. It's like, 54% of the respondents admit that their clusters are snowflakes and their ops are manual. That's not platform engineering. Like where is this discrepancy? And people are deluded.
They bought the hype. They bought the DevOps is dead, platform engineering is king hype. And all they bought was the platform and neglected the fact that platform engineering is just an implementation of DevOps principles. And they didn't take the DevOps practices and principles with it. I blame Humanitech for this. And that's why I don't go to their KubeCon parties, because I think their marketing around platform engineering is really, really annoying. And it encourages this kind of thing where they claim they have mature platform engineering, but they really have... They have the technology, but they don't have the culture, and they don't know how to actually operate the technology.
I have never seen a company alienate their entire target demographic so quickly with the worst marketing campaign I've ever seen in my life.
Absolutely astonishing. I don't know how they... multiple people approved that and thought, yeah, that'll go over super well.
And it's the fact that they had 5 faces, which I'm not on X anymore, but they just promoted every single thing, and it was the same
blocked
message.
All of those people. Everybody I could find that worked at Humanitech that was posting that crap, blocked. I don't care. Get out of my face.
I'm only going to disagree with you, Kat, on DevOps or platform engineering being implementation of DevOps, because I feel like DevOps was more about decentralization, of letting teams be autonomous and embedding the dev and ops people together, making people self-reliant on the teams. Whereas platform engineering is all about centralization. And it's like, hey, we built a central stack that you deploy to. Here's your guardrails or your golden path or whatever you want to call it. And then everything comes here and we centralize that. And we always said DevOps was never a title and it shouldn't be a team. And then it was, right? It still was a thing, but it was mostly just people saying they were DevOps and not actually doing the DevOps practices.
Yeah.
The only time that I saw DevOps at any sort of scale be successful was at Amazon, where I feel like they're a really, really good DevOps company where every team and service is autonomous, and centralization is really good at Google, where Google has platform and SRE, which are central teams that do a lot of this stuff that hey, we make the golden path really golden. This is amazing stuff. And you don't have to worry about any of that. And we're doing that from this centralization level versus let every team kind of figure it out, which is what the Amazon teams did. They happen to have the AWS cloud to rely on, but a lot of teams went their own way. They did their own thing. Yeah. There is no SRE or platform team at Amazon.
I think we have a split brain because I think you're both right. I mean, I always consider DevOps as, I would say, a part of the bedrock of platform engineering, right? If you can't have teams be autonomous and work on their own thing, and the platforms are to provide the guardrails. It's like you bring your car, we've just got the track that you put it on, and we're going to do your telemetry collection. We're going to help you with the monitoring. And the platform teams should, SREs even at Google, those SREs are floating between product teams as well, right? Every team has a member from their SRE on rotation, right? And they're always working, collaborating together, but the teams are mostly autonomous to a certain degree. And I feel that it's a bit of why not both, right? So,
Yeah, you can have platform engineering does not replace DevOps
yeah.
in any universe. Like you're not gonna. I don't think any functional team org company is not implementing some kind of DevOps tooling.
They got all the titles. So
Yeah,
it's, and that, like,
yeah,
maturity to me is like, I bet you the maturity is we hired 5 platform engineers, and so now we're mature, right? Like that's the like
yeah.
the level of
for sure. That's what they're calling mature. And like so, yeah, we're gonna see a repeat of the DevOps engineer thing with platform engineering. And like, are you really? You know.
Well, I mean, our conversation leads right into the next slide, where they try to actually tackle both of these problems. And it says here that with the platform teams managing central pipelines, the DORA metrics have a 3.7 out of 5 versus a 3.5 on 5 for manual deployments. So it's like I think there is a lot of value in the platform team and there being those guardrails and providing a common deployment method. I don't think the teams necessarily have to do manual deployments, but just saying we've adopted Argo, we have adopted Flux, you can register your applications here, but you still control your own manifest. I think there's a lot of value in just pushing towards that model. But it sounds like I don't think any of us are in agreement on what the ideal situation should be here.
one of the things that I've seen as a problem for someone that's been doing platform engineering for a while. Like my title at Disney Plus was platform. It's like it's SRE platform engineer. I was like, I got all the check boxes, and we built a platform that worked amazing for a launch of a big service, and then it got stagnant, and then it was hard to maintain, and then they had to re-platform. They're like, actually, we have to go to something new. We can't keep bolting on features and things to make this better enough. We just have to start over. And I think that people haven't really gotten to the internal V2 of their platforms because they're still in this, hey, we deployed, Backstage, or we have GitOps over here or whatever. And like the V2 of it, they're just going to keep adding features and try to hold on to some of that stuff and not say, when do we need to cut this off and start over from scratch? And what is the next base fundamental, underneath platform look like? And sometimes that's Kubernetes related. Sometimes, again, that usually depends on economics of where does it make sense to run this thing? How should we run this thing? And those decisions need to be made at like a higher level than what the platform team usually has political capital to do.
That conversation is too sensible for this podcast, man.
Well, are we being reasonable and sensible and fun now? I mean, I agree. Like it's platform engineering is relatively new, and we're going to be seeing, just like we did with Kubernetes, just like we see with absolutely every new technology or new trend in anything. There's going to be growing pains every single time. There's going to be like a weird adolescent phase where we think that we're grown up, but we're really not. That's just the reality of technology, and it's been that way since the dawn of time. Like we always think that we're grown. We're not. I'm 35 and I don't think that I'm grown, but I have to act like I'm grown. It's that, but computer.
All right. I mean, I'll concede to Justin just because you have recently been at Disney Plus and responsible for a platform, and I'm a few extra years away from being responsible for anything with a pager. So, I mean, I have
a child.
Yeah, I don't have a pager. So, no, I just mean I have my ideology in my head of how a platform should work and how teams should work with it. And in the Rock Code Academy, I have my own production infrastructure and I build it that way. But then it's just me. Like, I'm not going to hit into any of the problems that Justin is referencing to. So I think I'm definitely curious to see more. I want to see more people talking about what platform engineering has to do next, because I feel that it has to evolve from the current definition of it. It has to evolve from the conversations around it. The idea that we just stick Flux in a cluster with Backstage and that's it. Stick a sticker on it and it's done is just it's not there.
The one thing in my career that's been consistent is I've always been replatforming something. There's always been a migration. There's always been something that's moving. I think one of the fallacies of platform engineering today is people thinking that it's the final destination. This is the last platform we're going to build. And I'm like, no, just wait for the next one. Like you're going to build something cool, and a new technology, new capability is going to come along.
All right, let's not spend much time on personas because we've still got a few more slides to get through, right? But the report kind of says that there's the concept of Kubernetes factories where they've got 150 clusters, and these are the companies that are doing exceptionally well. You know, does having more clusters get easier over time? I'm not entirely sure. I feel, again, it comes back to what should that architecture be for distributing Kubernetes within an organization? Should every team have their own cluster? Like, definitely.
It depends.
Yeah. Were you going? Is that? It depends. That's your senior developer hat. Now you're done. That's it. Like,
Yeah.
Where's my check?
Like, yeah, give me money. It depends. Give me money. I don't think that you necessarily the way this question was phrased in the report and the way the answer was explained seemed to make it look like it was a thing to shoot for, just like having more clusters. Okay. Why? Like, why do you? Why?
It's the new uptime. Right.
Right. Okay.
This is the metric.
Okay.
Yeah. Exactly. Because like we went from uptime to how many nodes in a cluster to how many clusters. Like this is like we're one-upping ourselves every time.
So this is our new like vanity metric. Got it. Okay. Yeah, so then it doesn't. My answer is it doesn't fucking matter. Whatever works for you, for your org, for your application is correct. Like there's no reason if 16 clusters is working well for you and your application and your users that you should be shooting for 150. Like, do you just enjoy complexity for the sake of complexity? Okay, but I don't think that's a good business model. So
yeah, I think companies need to really understand what their risk profile is for having multiple clusters and architect it correctly. But I mean, we're always bombarded with news, right? News kind of guides us, and Google are always out there talking about how they managed to scale the largest Kubernetes cluster. I think their most recent one was like 15,000 nodes on a cluster.
No, they're at 60. AWS just posted one for 100,000. Everyone's just one up in this one, right? Yeah. They're like, oh no, we can do it better. Like, come down.
So it's a dick measuring contest. And like that's fun to watch and all, but a thing that I think that a lot of small businesses, startups, whatever, need to remember, not just in like how many clusters you're running, but in how you manage your teams, in what kind of tools you buy, is you're not Google. I don't care if your founders are ex-Googlers or ex-Microsoft or ex-AWS.
They'll let you know.
Yeah, they'll tell you about it. It'll be in their Twitter bio, and they're going to tell you at the start of every meeting, you're not Google. Don't act like it. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, let's also, I think for anyone watching this, right, who is responsible for Kubernetes and isn't working at Google or AWS or Microsoft, etc., right, is that they're not running etcd like you are for a start. Right, you're going to hit size issues with your cluster much quicker than any of these other companies. I feel that Justin was going to cut me off there, but no. So don't try to replicate what they're doing, and also clusters do break. Let's be honest, right? You're not going to have 5 nines on your Kubernetes control plane, and sometimes that's okay, but having multiple clusters does mean you have a better chance of keeping things online, but you are responsible for more clusters. There's no right or wrong answer here. You really have to explore and see what you're capable of, what your risk profile is, and take the right thing. Take that with a pinch of salt. Now, I do want to wrap this up because I did only ask you to join me for 1 hour. I'm on a prediction slide now, so feel free to just give them a quick scan. But from the report, there's this idea that let's just go straight to the elephant. 1 in 3 enterprises will have AI copilots managing their Kubernetes. What's your thoughts on that? I think I know your answer, but I'll let you speak for yourselves.
I think 1 in 3 will try.
Yeah,
for sure. 1 in 3 will definitely try. Whether or not it'll actually be successful long term, can't say. But 1 in 3 will try for sure. 2 out of 3 will try.
I mean, I do think.
Are we talking publicly traded companies? When you say enterprise, do you mean publicly traded companies with a share price to care about?
I would say that's probably a safe guess.
Then 2 out of 3 are going to try.
I mean, I am all in on the AI hype cycle, right? I use AI every single day,
but
I understand what I want to use it for.
Yeah, I use it. I don't hate it.
Cluster.
No.
I mean, the non-determinism there gives me fear. Obviously, we can have these concepts of agents and multi-agent systems, and maybe the control plane is multi-agents corroborate in some way to work out what's best for the cluster. But whether that's going to happen that quickly, I'm not sure. I think you're right. I think enterprises will definitely try. But, you know.
I mean, humans on call are not deterministic either. And there's this bit, like every time I woke up on a page, like you could not guarantee that I was going to function according to how I would if I was fully awake, right? So it's like I think that there's a trade-off here of like what level are we, what is managing, right? Like are we doing upgrades automated? Like, hey, if we're like going to try to remediate some things or shift some traffic, sure. Like I think it'd be great. Like we should totally have computers do more of that. But again, I don't know that that's necessarily an AI problem. That's a better practice around how, like what Kubernetes did for how we scale systems. We can do some of that with how we manage our outages and traffic and whatnot. And AI can help in some of those areas. I think that being able to understand more information about the whole system, how it's operating, is a big benefit of AI.
Definitely.
But I don't necessarily know that I want 2 and 3. I think we'll try. How many will be successful? How many will be there in 5 years? Is a question. I don't know.
Yeah, every time I read a story where someone's like, "Hey, I deleted my app or my database," I'm like, "Yeah, I've done that." Like,
I've done it. Like, but the difference is that when this is an uncomfortable difference, when you or I fuck up like that, like the Night Capital incident where some poor engineer screwed up updating machines and subsequently crashed the stock price of something like 70 companies because he screwed up rolling out an update. There is somebody to blame, somebody to castigate in public, and somebody to fire when that happens, when a person does it. When AI does it, who are you firing? The CEO, the board that ordered people to...
You'd probably fire the LLM, right? You say, oh, we're going to upgrade our LLM. We're going to go to a different vendor.
So you fire Claude, like...
Yeah, you'll fire a vendor and you'll go to someone else.
Yeah,
do it all the time.
Claude is my MVP. I can't fire him. I need Claude.
You need him. He's your bestie. Okay, that's fair.
All right, KubeVirt hits 50% adoption. I mean, 1 and 2 clusters having a VM workload in it, I can see it. That's an easy. I think that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I mean, 1 and 2 seems high.
I don't think 1 and 2 of clusters. We just said some customers have 150 clusters.
Yeah, 75.
Right? They're not running 75. Nah.
No.
AWS doesn't even let you do it, right? Like AWS has the most clusters at any provider, and they don't even have nested virtualization.
Yeah, so it's not going to be 50% of clusters. Will it be popular? Like, will it be like an accepted standard practice for running VMs in Kubernetes? Totally. Yeah. But it's not going to be 50% of clusters. It's too many goddamn clusters.
Fine, 50% of my clusters will have KubeVirt in it.
Okay.
All right.
And your uptime is 1 year. Go ahead.
Yeah, for each pod. Okay, 30% of respondents will have more than 100 clusters. I mean, I think this report has a skew in the favor of larger organizations where this is potentially more realistic. I think that is potentially something that could happen. I mean,
30% of like large orgs. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to push it back over to big face mode. So we've gone over, but I really appreciate you both taking time out of your day. It's been fun chatting just right off the bat, but sitting talking about Kubernetes is something that we all enjoy. So I hope that people enjoyed watching this too, and to the people that left comments and engaged, we appreciate you, saying hello. Any last words before I play you another AI generated song to round us off?
Oh, good God.
I'm looking forward to it.
I'm so pumped for that. Upgrade your clusters, please. Also apply for the Kubernetes release team shadow program. I'll open the application in about 2 weeks. I'll send it to the dev list and to the SIG release mailing list. But you can also just join the Kubernetes Slack workspace and check the SIG release channel. And I will bother you there. Come help release it.
Any last words, Justin?
I'm surprised that we're still talking about Kubernetes, to be honest. Right? Like what? Like
hey,
it's been 10 years.
Yeah.
No, like not on this
right.
stream, like in general for 10 years. Like what other technology have we been like, hey, this is still like no one's talking about like VMware is just like it's people talking about getting off of it. Even like AWS in the cloud, like people are like, yeah, if you use it, fine, go ahead. Like it doesn't really matter. It's not like a hype cycle thing. But individual technologies like Lambda, right? Like Lambda, there still is a very, group that is vocal, but it's not like this big thing of like, oh, everyone, we're still got to go to this new thing and how are we going to manage it going forward and all that. Like that's kind of solved the problem. And I find it interesting that Kubernetes has had this sort of staying power where a lot of other foundation technologies just don't. Like Linux, Linux distros, no one cares. There's all this stuff that like people just completely forget about. And there's groups of people that are very passionate about them and they need to be. But the fact that there is this like general, like large Kubernetes survey is surprising to me.
Yeah, I mean, Kubernetes isn't going anywhere. And, I'll finish with this is something from the last KubeCon, but, people always ask, are they too late to contribute to Kubernetes? Because the answer is no, right? This is a 10-year-old project, but it's an evolving project that has never slowed down, as, Kat has also filled us in on. There are so many ways to get involved, and it's never too late to adopt Kubernetes because, again, as we covered, there's just so much convenience from just going where everyone else is going, walking on that path that is already paved for you. I mean, a lot of the hard things have been solved, and there's going to be harder things that come down the pipe as well. And new technologies, WebAssembly is starting to, I hope, is starting to get more adoption. I hope to see that in our clusters. And that's not going to stop there either, right? Technology does evolve. The cloud-native landscape is growing. This is just a fantastic space to be in, and the time to be a part of it is now. So if you've ever been on the fence, head out to chat to any of us. We all love to talk about Kubernetes for a start, but come to KubeCon and enjoy yourself. Try to enjoy yourself. KubeCon. Not today. So, lastly, was that really AI generated? It was. Enjoy this next one. This next one is I tried to get the AI to make it K-pop Demon Hunters themed because I am just so all in on that movie right now. It is amazing. If you have not watched it, check it. Have you both watched it?
Yeah.
All right. Go check it out. Enjoy this song. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll see you all next time. Bye.
Thanks.
RAWKODE Academy, you ready? Let's go! 2025, the landscape's alive, but shadows in the cluster begin to arrive. Yeah, male ghosts are creeping, a legacy curse. Deprecation's rising, making everything worse. The logs are a maze, a cryptic design. Is this a feature or a malicious sign? The signal is glitching, we're losing control. Gotta patch the vulnerability, protect the soul. We need heroes to answer the call, to stand up strong and make the demons fall. We're the demon-set hunters, fighting the blight. Raw code on the mic, turning darkness to light. With Garrison and Cosgrove, yeah, the future's so bright. Slaying broken confines with all of our might. The state of Kube is here, we're winning the fight. Oh, the future is in our sight. From the West Coast, a legend appears. Justin with the strategy, calming all the fears. He sees the architecture, the grand design, taming the controllers and making them align. Then Cat drops the knowledge, a powerful stream, making observability more than a dream. She finds the root cause, the signal in the noise, giving the whole community a stronger voice. The signal is clearing, we're taking back control. Found the critical exploit, now we're on a roll. Our heroes have answered the call. Together we'll stand and watch the demons fall. We're the demon-set hunters, Watch the master flow. Kubect'll get pods. Watch the errors go. From CI/CD to the GitOps creed, planting the knowledge, a powerful seed. No misconfiguration gonna make us bleed. This is Raw Code Academy, taking the lead. Got the best in the game, the skills you can trust, leaving all bad practices turn into dust. Yeah, we're the demon set hunters, fighting the blight. Raw code all the might, turning darkness to light. With Garrison and Cosgrove, yeah, the future's so bright. Slaying broken confines with all of our might. The state of Kube is here, we're winning the fight. Oh, the future is in our sight. State of Kube, understood. Cluster status, secure. Mission complete. Raw Code Academy.